So a lot of you said that I would be back on iPhone when the 17 came out, and you're right. But hear me out though. I've had enough time to test both of these for about 60 days each, and I'm here to tell you which one gets sold and which one is going to become my daily driver. So this is the iPhone 17 Pro Max versus the Galaxy S25 Ultra. No BS, just which one fits my life. Okay, so quick context for anyone who's new here. I left iPhone and switched to the S25 Ultra a couple months ago. Made a video about the whole process and it blew up. And a lot of people loved it. And I also got a lot of people saying, oh, you'll be back on iPhone when the new one comes out. And I get it. Like, everyone thinks phone switching videos is literally just content farming and all of that kind of stuff. But I was genuinely interested in what Samsung had to offer. And so after spending 60 days with this phone and spending 60 days with this phone, I'm here to finally make the decision and tell you which one fits my life.
So yeah, taking this phone, S25 in my backpack. We're going to this bike night. It's the last bike night of the year, so I definitely wanted to hit it because I feel like it's a good photo comparison and video comparison place where we can actually do a lot of tests. I'm gonna make sure to put the S25 Ultra in the 50 megapixels mode because the iPhone 17 Pro Max has 48 megapixel on all three cameras, so I think it's only fair for me to do it that way. And yeah, so I will see you when I get there. Not gonna lie, the stuff out here is crazy. Go ahead and put this in 50 megapixels. Go ahead and switch. They got Supras, they have McLarens, they got so much stuff out here. There's so much stuff out here.
So for photography, it's a toss-up because in the way that I use them, sometimes I prefer the S25 and other times I preferred the iPhone. Now, one thing that is clear is that the camera system on the S25 is a lot better because I was only shooting 50 megapixel mode, but it does have a 200 megapixel mode, which the iPhone cannot even touch. And it also has hella good zoom. So in that aspect, for photography, overall, the S25 is better. But when it comes to video, which is the thing that I care about the most as a content creator, I feel like the iPhone did a lot better in comparison because I feel like it showed the scene exactly how it looked, and also the video stabilization was a lot better. And honestly, that's what matters to me the most. So here's the reality that I couldn't escape. I use a MacBook Pro for video editing and content creation. And so while I can make the S25 work with it by downloading multiple different apps and things like that, it just doesn't natively support and work as well as the iPhone, which at the end of the day just caused a lot more friction. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so I'm pretty sure all of you know how AirDrop works on iPhone and stuff like that, but there is also a workaround that I found to basically do the similar thing with Samsung, but I'm going to show you how much more friction it is to do it. So if I bring you over here and show you this, right? So I have this picture from the car meet that I want to go ahead and send over. So basically, I go ahead and hit the send button. My MacBook shows up right there. I hit it and it pops up right there, and it auto just opens up where it's gonna be. But if I take the same thing on the Samsung phone, right? I go ahead and hit share. I hit local send. Well, the problem is that because I don't have local send open on my MacBook, it will not pop up. So what I end up having to do is I have to go down and open local send, right? And as soon as I open it, it pops up right here and I'm able to hit it and it sees everything and accept it. And it does the same thing and it opens, where it's gonna be at. But like I said, it's just one extra step that I have to do that kind of just, even though it takes 5 seconds, over time when you're transferring a lot of media, it ends up becoming kind of just a hassle. So Yeah, that's what I meant. There's also iMessage on the Mac, universal clipboard, and the ability to answer phone calls on my MacBook. Now, while this is not a deal breaker by any means, when I'm on a deadline and a time crunch and I need a photo or a video or need to talk to a client, it's just so much easier and I don't have to think about it when it comes to using my iPhone. I know it makes me sound like an Apple shill, and trust me, I understand. But honestly, this is just my workflow. Like if I used a Windows computer, this might be a totally different conversation, but I don't, I use a MacBook. So for daily use, both of these phones are very equivalent in the sense that they are phones. You know, they make phone calls, they receive text messages, you know, they take photos and videos. So, you know, they're just like every other phone out there on the market. They both have a Face ID function. The one thing that Apple is missing is the Touch ID or fingerprint sensor, which I really liked about the S25. For the battery life, I mean, to me, they are the same. The iPhone 17 finally has a bigger battery, and the S25 Ultra battery is still bigger than the new battery in this one. And in the grand scheme of things, they both lasted all day. I didn't have to worry about charging my phone throughout the day because it didn't last. So, I mean, in that instance, both of them are the same. The real difference between the two is that the S25 felt like a phone that I could actually like tinker with. There was things in the settings and apps that I could download to customize my phone. Whereas with the iPhone, I'm just stuck with the way that it is. Yes, they added a thing to where I can change the color on the apps now and whatever, but it is nowhere near the same as on the S25, where I can also do the same thing, but also change the theme of the entire phone. The thing about tinkering is that it's very short-lived. Once you've kind of done what you wanted to do, you don't really touch it again. And so, yes, while it's great, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter because once you do it, you just use the phone like a phone. Now, while I've kind of said that these phones are equal and things like that, there are things that I'm really gonna miss about the S25. One of those things being the fingerprint sensor, because it's just really nice to be able to just lay my finger on the screen and it just unlocks, right? But there's also the camera system. I like being able to have the 200 megapixel mode for those times that I really want to get more detailed shots. The screen is significantly better. Like, it's brighter, but it also has that anti-glare reflective kind of coating on it, which is like fantastic. And iPhone supposedly introduced that on here, but it is nowhere near the same as how it is on the S25. And along with that, just the OLED panel, like I don't really even know how to describe it to you. It's like the vibrancy and the contrast, it just looks so much better and it's like more appealing to look at than the iPhone. And I know I was just talking about tinkering with the phone and customization and how after you do it all, you just use the phone as a phone, but I do like having the option to do it. Like if I just got the fling of like, hey, I just kind of want to change my app colors today, or I want to change the entire look of my phone, I have the ability to do that. Honestly, I just really miss that freedom. And at the end of the day, like these are not small things. The S25 is genuinely a great phone. If you're in the Android ecosystem or you use Windows, like the S25 Ultra will be a great phone for you. All right, but for the moment that you've been waiting for or dreading, which phone am I keeping and which phone am I selling? And some of you might have guessed it based off of the entire video, I'm keeping the iPhone. And I know what some of you were thinking. See, I told you. I knew you were gonna switch back, and that switching video was just for clickbait. But here's the truth about it. I genuinely tried to use the S25 Ultra. I gave it 60 days, I downloaded apps, and just tried to make it work within my workflow as easily as possible. But at the end of the day, even with all of those workarounds, it does not work as fluidly as the iPhone. And because I use my MacBook for work and content creation, the iPhone just fits my workflow better. Does that mean that the S25 is a bad phone? Absolutely not. It's fantastic. If you were in a situation like me where you use Windows all the time and you tried to switch to iPhone, you would probably feel the same way as I do. But what I learned from this experiment is that specs don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. What matters is how you use the phone, your ecosystem. With me, like I said, I use a MacBook, but I also have friends and family that all use iPhone. And one thing that I mentioned in my video before about the S25 when I was on my honeymoon is that I could not FaceTime family and friends to show them what was going on. And yes, there are options like Google Meet because that's already built directly in, and also WhatsApp. But requiring someone to download those apps just so I could talk to them because I decided to switch to Samsung is not really fair to the other people. And so all of that being said, it's about which phone just fits in your life. And for me, that's the iPhone. So yeah, the comments were right. I switched back to iPhone. But I do not regret switching to the S25 Ultra. The reason why is because now I actually know why I prefer the iPhone. And I'm not just blindly following them based off of loyalty anymore. So if you're trying to decide between these two phones, ask yourself which one already would fit my ecosystem. What do my friends use? What do my family use? What kind of computer do I have? You know, all of these kinds of things matter. And those should be the deciding factors for when you're trying to choose a phone for yourself. So I'm selling the S25 Ultra this week. And honestly, the money from that is probably gonna go to other questionable tech purchases. It's probably not smart. But if you wanna see what comes next, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That's all for me, and I'll see you in the next one.